hi, everybody. I can't see you. I'm going to look at it as the camera. I'm a little technically challenged because this is high tech at the NYPL. They're doing a great job. We have a giant screen here, a big microphone, camera on me. I'm used to just using my little laptop at home, which is an Apple computer. So this is a PC, and believe it or not, I'm well in my 60s and I've never used a PC. So I hope I'm going to take you through this without too many problems, and I'll be looking up to the people who are here also. Okay, so thank you for coming tonight. And this is all due to COVID that I should be looking there, because we are now in a world that Zoom is a verb, and no matter where you are in the world or whatever, we can participate in these events. So I think this is a silver lining of COVID. Okay, so thank you. I'm going to first show you the photography part of my website. So this is the index page. Let's see if I do this correctly. As I said, I'm not used to being on a wait, what's going on here? I just want to scroll down. Okay, so what's this thing here? Okay, so this is like the index page. Each one of these boxes or images brings you to another show, another exhibit. Okay, and the reason I'm just showing you this index page, because when we get done, I'm going to show you the current exhibit that is physically here in this room in the gallery of the fabulous Hudson Park Library in the West Village. So we're going to go through this, and then if we have questions or you have questions, please ask. And if we have time, I might take you through another one. So also, I wanted to show you this. There's a Black Friday sale now through the 25th, and it's 30% off all prints. And I do sign limited editions, and now I'm doing open prints. Okay, enough of the introduction. And now we're going, this is probably, oops, somebody wants to come in. This is very interesting because oh, I need to look over there, not at my, because that's the camera. Okay, so I'm going to double click here, and this is going to bring us into the actual exhibit that is physically hanging here in the library. Okay, now let's see. Okay, so just so you know, if you are in the area, this exhibit is up till November 30th. Okay, so this is the most eclectic, okay, I have to look here, the most eclectic exhibit I've ever done in my life, because it's got 3 locations, travel, and you're going to see there's portraits and there's self-portraits here. So we're first going to start with Iceland. So I'm going to blow it up here. I went to Iceland. The dates are here. So when you go on, this is all the internet anyway. You'll see the date and where I shot it. I had been wanting to go to Iceland for the longest time. And this is at the end of September. And I think I can even make it a little bigger. Yeah. It was really, really cold. It was super windy. It's an amazing island. Not that populated. It was very interesting because when I did travel around a little bit and went to a restaurant, there are a lot of beautiful blondes and serving. They were serving us, and they were from Poland. So there's a lot of people that come from Poland to work there because they make a lot of money in Iceland, and it goes a long way when they're in Poland. And Iceland is such an interesting country because it was very impoverished until after the Second War, because the Marshall Plan, they got all this money to rebuild, but they hadn't been bombed in the Second War, so they didn't need this money to rebuild the country. So they're not a corrupt country, and they put it into their infrastructure, and they have all these hot geysers, so they use that for heating. So they use the hot water for heating. So the sidewalks and driveways are all heated that way, and the other industry is fishing. And this is a light tower. So it was such a short visit, and this is a light tower that I just loved to capture here as it sits on this plane. So for me, visually, I'll just give you a little background about me. I did go to art school back in the day, and I did study drawing, painting, and photography. Those days it was film, and I would spend hours in my dark room and then I paint the pictures. So I'm going to move ahead. I'm going to shrink this down. Let's see, I think I go here. Oops, sorry, but I've got to just learn how to navigate. It's really the getting familiar with PC. Guess you're never too old to use a PC. So these are Icelandic horses that are very gentle souls. And again, I rented a car just for one day and went out to the center, the bottom of the island to the center called Vik. And the days are quite short and very windy. Let me tell you, when the weather is really bad, they close the roads and people are completely isolated. And it is a volcano, the island. Anyway, I just went off wandering and I was trying to beat the sun setting. It was a very short day and came across these gorgeous horses. And no, I did not ride them. So I just captured this moment, love the green background, you know, the texture and the feel of this animal, this soul of a being, and the sky in the background. And then you see a little dab of red here. Okay. And this is a church in Vik. So Vik is this southern town in very small population everywhere. This is not like China when you go to a small city of 1 million people. This is not a very populated island. And, you know, as you see, the sky was very gray and one-dimensional and muted. That's more or less how it was. But here, this beautiful church is popping with the red. You can see the little worn against the sort of pale blue sky, and then the green, the pale green at the background. And you can see there's a cemetery here. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead. Okay. So these are not in any special order. So this is right here in New York City. This is, I call it Life by the River. I do love to shoot at sunset or sunrise, and this is sunset. And people love to go out by the river. And I just love how the sun comes down. The sun to me is like a paintbrush, because when it hits things, it lights them up. And the other thing it does is it casts these long shadows. And I find it incredibly magical. So this is just people who are enjoying, you know, watching, they're coming to hang out at the river, and they'll probably hang out and watch the sunset. And this is right across the street from where I live, which is very near this library on the Hudson River. Okay. Okay. I was just worried that this guy would get fired. When I kind of snuck this photograph, I was like, I hope nobody recognizes him sleeping on the job. You know, I don't recall which gallery it was. Maybe it's good that I don't recall it. I don't want to get him in trouble. But, you know, it's in Chelsea. And for those who follow the art world and the art scene here in New York, Chelsea for many years is the new Soho. Soho used to be where all the galleries were. And then, you know, it moved over here into, over to Chelsea. And yeah, I guess I call it tired or bored. I'm not really quite sure what was going on in his mind, but I guess if you're bored, you can feel tired quickly and fall asleep. So I just thought it was such a funny moment to see him with his little, I think it's a Swell water bottle. I love those, are the best. And I can't even tell you what the exhibit was, but I'm sure it's no reflection on the artist or his work. I guess when you're there for hours. You know, he had a chair. Imagine being, I always look at the security people when I go to the museums and they're on their feet for hours. And I think, oh my God, it's got to be exhausting. So at least he got a chair, but I guess if he was standing, he might not have fallen asleep. Okay, so yeah, it was just this moment in time. I'm very much about, I'm not into technology. You can see I'm struggling with this PC laptop, but I do see compositions, I see color. This is obviously a very monochromatic image, but it was the capture here for me was this guard, and actually we see a mask. So, you know, I wonder if 5 years from now, when nobody's wearing masks, we're going to know what time period these things are shot due to mask. Okay, moving right along. Oops, wait, did I miss one? Wait a minute. Okay, let's just go back here. Okay, just go here. So this is Join Me at the River. I titled it, and this is also at the Hudson River. And this is very near that previous picture. And so you're looking west here, that's the Hudson River. And then the buildings in the background here, I think you can you see my mouse? Is my mouse showing up? Yeah, okay. So that's New Jersey over on the other side. And again, look what happens when the sun sets, you know, how it highlights things, which I just love. And then you get these long shadows. It's so magical. Just, I'm really crazy about sunrises and sunsets. Okay. Okay. So this summer I went to Colombia, South America, and interestingly enough, it is an extremely colorful place, but the 3 photographs that I selected for this exhibit, I would not call colorful, but I included them because of what was going on. So this is in Bogota. I don't know if anybody who's observing this has been in Bogota, South America. As you know, Colombia has had tremendous amount of trauma. These people have been through quite a bit due to the drug cartels and the incredible violence. But here I was in the square, and there were so many nuns who were actually tourists. It was filled with all these nuns, and they were getting their photographs taken. And I just kind of got behind this monk who was capturing the very smiling people. So this is a variety of people that were traveling. It's not just a nun group shot. I think I was told they were from South Korea. Okay. This is in Cartagena, Colombia, and it's in the south of Colombia, I have to say. So the weather doesn't change. This is right south of the equator, and the weather, there's no seasons. They don't have seasons. And this was in a very old hotel that I was staying at. And if you can look in the background there, this is a guy who was mopping. Actually, I took a video of him. I think I was completely captivated as he went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And he's wearing orange, which is hard to see in this photograph. But it was like this dab of orange as he's going back and forth, wiping, mopping the floor. It's really hot in Cartagena. I know it's a very popular place. A lot of Colombians and other people go there to get married, and it's a popular destination, but it's really hot. Okay, so what grabs me here is also the 1-point perspective. I like angles and shapes, and he just was framed here in the background. I mean, for those who don't know me, I'm also a filmmaker. Okay, so here you get a better look at the nuns. There were tons of nuns. I don't want to say there were many nuns as there were pigeons that day in the plaza, but there were so many, and they were smiling, and they were so happy, and they brought so much joy. It was just lovely. It was really lovely to see these happy people, and yes, they are from South Korea in Bogota. And so here they are posing. This guy who's bent down, and you can see there's a bunch over here, and there were many. It was just very interesting to me. Oh, okay. So this is France. I went there for a big birthday for myself. And as you can see by the date, this is January 3rd, 2020. So we know what happened right after. In fact, here in New York, so I'm in New York City. This is where COVID, people were afraid to go to Chinatown. It was terrible. My friends and I were like, let's go to, be patrons to these restaurants. But there was that COVID fear that was hitting now. But let's get to this picture. So I was enjoying a wonderful trip this is in the south of France, in a region called Dordogne. I'd started the trip in Paris, took that bullet train from Paris to Bordeaux. I swear, in a flash, you're in Bordeaux. That train is so fast. Picked up a rent-a-car and then drove over to this Dordogne region and stayed in a medieval village. And then every day did another day trip. I just love this particular moment in this image, and I like things that look painterly. So actually, when I had the opening here at the exhibit, a friend of mine came and he lived in France, and he told me that they actually trimmed these trees, which I didn't realize. I thought they were natural like that. So when we open this up for Q&A, if anybody knows about these trees, please inform us. So what captured me here, I mean, look at these stone buildings. Is this, I mean, I always say if these walls could talk, all the history here. I love, so we have a little 1-point perspective going, our eyes are coming down here to see what's going on in the background, and we're framed by these buildings. And I like triangles and the geometric shapes. Even look how this is so, the bushes are shaped. So to me, I just had to catch this moment with the little clay road. And actually what I had been to that day, Josephine Baker, the great jazz female singer, she had moved to France. You know, there was so much racism in America, and the African Americans were not experiencing it in France. And so she went there many years ago and bought a huge mansion. So it's now a museum. Unfortunately, financially, her life didn't turn out so well. But this was the day I'd gone there, and then was driving through this region and just fell in love with this area. Okay, so again, this is very similar. I love this. If you'll see, you know, you see, again, your eyes are going back here, and this is like a 1-point perspective. So everything's in shadow, but guess what's happening? The sun is setting and it's like a paintbrush, and it's lighting up this old building. So look how it's almost like a flashlight's on this, right? Just the sun is magic. It's incredibly incredible what nature does onto nature and onto humans, onto everything. Okay. That key. Oh, yes. Okay. So this is Hotel du Chateau. Now this is January 1st. It's New Year's Day. And first of all, I'm there at off season. Like, this was not a popular you know, place to go in the winter. This is a really popular place to go in the summer. So most places were closed. And in fact, I made sure when a market was open to get baguette and cheese and get some sandwiches and food in the car, because we wouldn't know if we would have a place to eat. But this place was open. So if you look closely, you're going to see here, 2 people are going in here. And just look at this architecture. It just, to me, it looks like a painting. And so the only thing I do is either I don't touch the photograph at all. I don't know how to use Photoshop. People ask me if I use Photoshop. It's only in the iPhone. There's an app called Snapseed that I sometimes plug it into, and I will saturate it a little more, but no color is ever changed. I don't, you know, highlight an area and move it around. Nothing's really altered. It's just what is altered is if I decide to alter anything, it's like punching up the color. So this kind of saturates it more. But I mean, just look at the detail here. I guess I can blow this up and hope I can get back to it. Oops, what happened? Oh, here we are. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look at everything going on here. There's just so much to look at. And for me, when I see color, I see dabs of color. Little dab of red. Look at the sign with the sign is framed in red. Little dab here. This little lantern type hanging with red across the sign. And yeah, just so interesting. Again, we didn't go in here, but it was open, which was not a common thing to find. Oop, all right, now I just blew it. All right, I have to get back. All I can say is thank you for my patience, for your patience. you would know I'm actually a whiz on a Macintosh computer. I even do my website, but here we go. All right, now this bunch of three, I'm happy we're looking in the gallery, then I'll blow it up, is yours truly. I'm the Kim Kardashian, I'm just joking, of selfies. I love taking selfies, and maybe I'm a control freak. And so I like when I have control of the picture. And here we go, and I'll just blow this up. So let me tell you a little story about this picture. So this is in Florida, and this is on the east coast of Florida. So when you're on the east coast of Florida, what do? You get sunrises. You don't get sunsets. So I was sort of sharing this with someone I met. Oh, I wish I can get a sunset. And she said, well, just go out to this road. It's Parkland, Florida. Everybody knows Parkland, Florida, right? It ended up on the map because of the horrific massacre in that high school. So I drove out there, and this is actually the Everglades. And when you get out to a certain point, you're on a gravel road. And so behind me, that is actually right here, the sun is setting, okay? And so just let's talk about the shot, and then I'm going to tell you the story of what happened. So I just kind of framed the shot so I have somewhat of a halo around me and kind of smack myself in the middle of the road. And then again, you see this 1-point perspective going on behind me. Okay, so this water here is the Everglade water, and it's filled with alligators. So I am walking now if you keep walking down this gravel road, there's like a little low bridge that goes over this body of water. So I started walking that way to go over that bridge. I can take some photographs from that point of view. And as I'm walking, and I'm walking east, and the sun is behind me, I see a car coming in my direction, which many people, this is like a famous location people go for the sunset, right? So I'm walking in that direction for the sunset. And all of a sudden, this car is speeding in my direction. And I'm thinking, whoa, this guy really has his pedal to the metal. So I'm thinking he's going to go right on this gravel here because that's the road. So I kind of hug over here. Don't want to go too far because that's the water with the alligators. And this car does not come down here. He went flying over that bridge into the water. It was the most surreal experience. And in fact, he was speeding so fast that he was like flying like a plane. This car flew over into the water and landed right around here, not too far from all these weeds and stuff. So that was good. And of course, I'm like, what's going on here? I walked down to the little edge here, call 911 right away. I heard banging on the windows. Their airbags had exploded, so I could not see them because they were covering the windows. I just hear like people banging. And I'm busy getting 911, who's saying to me, do you think it was intentional? I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea who's in this vehicle. And then there was another guy who also, like me, was there to capture the sunset. And he was walking towards me, and I said, would you go down and open the door? Which was like kind of a big deal because he had to put his foot or feet in the water, which is filled with alligators. But the good news is he got in, he opened the door, and 3 people came out. And everyone was completely fine. Essentially, what I understand is the guy driving was from the area. The passenger and his son were guests. They're from an island in the Caribbean. In fact, the passenger is a doctor, and his friend was showing him the area. And I don't know what happened. He definitely was speeding, but I think because he came out feeling very disoriented, that maybe that sun was so blinding, because when you're driving into a sunset, you're like completely blinded. but he was driving fast. So I just have to assume that he was completely blinded and disoriented and went flying over that bridge. But the happy ending is everybody was fine. I stayed there a very long time. They eventually did get the car out of the water, but that was pretty surreal. So that's what happened when I went to shoot a sunset at the Everglades. Okay. Oh, I don't know what keeps bringing me back there. Okay, so we'll go back to the second selfie in this little collection. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. So this is not taken in Florida. Can you tell? Yes, I don't wear this. I don't wear this coat and hood in Florida. So this is taken in New York, which with, I guess, my signature glasses now, which by the way, I did buy in Paris on that same trip. What's that? It's this one? Oh, thank you. God, Emil, who's wonderful, who runs this joint, just help me. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Okay, I'll blow this one up. So this is a sunrise picture, and this is shot in Florida at sunrise by the ocean. And there was that bird, and I just obviously wanted him. I wanted the bird to get the halo, so the bird got the halo. And I framed it so I would be in there. You know, it's so funny. I have shot one of my movies, or my last couple of movies. I'm in a lot of the footage and nobody realizes I shot it. And this is pre-iPhone. I used to use a handy cam, and these films have been on Netflix and theaters and whatever. I use a little handy cam camera and then just flip it and go, am I in or not? So yeah, I guess I do enjoy doing selfies. So yes, okay. So I go here, thanks for letting me know. That's the Atlantic Ocean in the background. Okay, here, now we're into portraits. This is shot in Haiti, and I love this person's face. Wonderful man, and he actually approached me and asked if I needed a guide, and he became my guide. So we went all over, well, wherever we can go by foot. And there was a lot of fishing going on there, and it was so fascinating. And I just, you know, look at his beautiful smile, his teeth, his face, his eyes, and the blue of his shirt with the blue of the background. And I intentionally shot this in a mode where the background would be out of focus. Okay. I don't know if Sue's on this Zoom. But Sue is my neighbor, and I call this beautiful Sue. Just bumped into her on the streets, and this was just a fleeting moment of me asking her if I can just take a quick pics of her. And I think you just get all her love and her beauty in this moment. It's so interesting because these pictures, as we know, are all going to be, we're going to figure out when we're long dead, they're going to go, that COVID pandemic, we think, because look at the mask under the chin, okay? We're going to be able to date some of these pictures based on these masks that we have been wearing for a while, okay? And again, I like to shoot this mode where the background's thrown out of focus often, because it just puts the person. And this is another neighbor and good friend of mine, Jonathan. And guess what? He's got the mask on. And he's a talented sculptor, and he has so much expression in his face. And again, this was just oh, you know what? I think we're having a bite to eat. We're in a restaurant in the West Village. And I just lifted up my camera and grabbed this moment. Yeah. actually, he came to the opening. If you guys, if anybody here does Instagram, I'm on Instagram, so you can go to @Gayle Kirschenbaum, because I just posted a picture of him. He's also wearing that red shirt, and he also has that straw hat on, and he has that mask under him. That's how he was when he came to the actual exhibit, and it's him right next to that his photograph. So it's a nice little capture. Okay, so these are friends of mine. They were visiting, and this is, I call it love story, because they are this is a couple that was together for a very long time and so connected with each other that they have one email address. And I used to always yell at them when they'd write me back going, I don't know who this is. This is Peter or Tony, because they use that one email address. And this is on top of my building. I'm in an artist building called Westbeth, and this building was Bell Labs once upon a time. So these structures in the back are old non-working chimneys, and I'm going to give you a little story here. So Tony, they're from Seattle, and Tony is, they're people, if you know people from the Pacific Northwest, they're very hardy. They, good holidays, camping 2 weeks in the snow. So they love the outdoors, and nothing's too tough for them, and they're pretty athletic, as this couple had been. And then Tony started having issues with her legs and didn't know what was going on, but said she was going to beat it, and had strong will and fought and fought and fought. But unfortunately, this is 7 years later, and it was finally diagnosed with that she had ALS. And at this point, she was in a wheelchair, a motorized wheelchair. And because she is such a fan of theater, came to New York and rented an Airbnb, and they went to theater all the time. And I got to see them a few times when they were here. And this is a great memory, because unfortunately, Tony is not with us anymore. Okay. And do you guys recognize this face? This is Jonathan. He has double billing in this exhibit. So this is the same person who was in the red shirt. And he's just always filled with expression in his face. And we're sitting in a restaurant, as you can probably tell. And he just, this is a moment. I said, here, I'm going to take a picture of you. And he fanned out his hands. I like him in focus, and the whole background sort of soft and fuzzy. And sort of, you can tell this is the evening, and you see the lights in the background here. And then the other people in the restaurant are out of focus. Okay. Coming towards the end. And this is actually my nephew and his son. And I love this moment because unfortunately his beautiful son has autism, and he has severe autism. So it's not unusual for him to drool. He's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. In this moment, you would never even know, right? Look at his face and look at his father. What's a common theme? A mask under the chin. Okay. So we've got the mask under the chin, but this is definitely a father and son love story. Okay, this is different. Oh, yeah, we have a few more pics. Okay, so this is shot at the Norton Museum. It's a reflection. The Norton, I know there's a lot of Norton museums in America. This is Norton in West Palm Beach. And this is me. You see me here, and that's my mother, who, by the way, is 99 years old and doing great. And I am pushing her around the exhibit, and I turned around and saw this reflection and grabbed it. And I just love it. You know, I love this long shadow here. It's, to me, it's like a lot of mystery, and then the geometric shapes and forms of the structure of the building. And this sculpture here, this sort of brass sculpture. So it's also a very monochromatic image. And I just like this particular moment. And okay, so this is in MoMA. And I was just looking down, and if you look closely, they are all drawing. So it must have been some kind of art class in MoMA. And there was a group of people out there with their sketchbooks. And I just loved sort of this aerial shot looking down on this population of people against this gray background. Little pops of color, a little yellow, a little blue, but it's not a very colorful, it's more, this is probably my least colorful exhibition, but I was going for other things. Okay. Oops. Wait a minute. I go here. Okay. So this is also at the Norton. So it's the same day that I shot that other picture. And now we're leaving the Norton Museum of Art. This is right in the front of the building. So if anybody's ever been to West Palm Beach, it's a great museum. I really recommend you go there. And if this is a little more interactive, I'd ask a question, but hopefully who's ever there, we can talk afterwards. So this eraser in the foreground, that's a Claes Oldenburg sculpture. Okay, and it's on this water. So that's me, because the way it's lit, the lights are casting shadows. So this is at night, and I was just walking, we were leaving the museum, and I just thought, oh, look at this shadow up here. And I just captured my rather big shadow against the wall with this foreground of his eraser. Okay. Okay, this is back to Iceland. And let me just click, let me go smaller. No, this one. Okay, I have somebody teaching me what to do here. Okay, so I can't pronounce this. Dihole in South Iceland. So after we went to Vik, so I had a rent-a-car one day. I was only in Iceland 4 or 5 days and did a lot. So this is this body of water, and it is known to take people away. So they say when you go there, don't go alone and don't turn your back to that ocean. And there have been people that they told me about there were a lot of Chinese tourists, and told me a couple of them looked away or whatever, something happened, but they got taken away, and that's horrible. So, so anyway, so there's a whole mystery to this water here. And yeah, these were other tourists that were down here. You can see by how everybody's dressed, how the weather was. Again, it was raining, it was very windy and pretty desolate, but it's just the whole nature is so interesting to me. I'm going to make this a little bigger. I'm very interested in northern islands that are isolated and populations that live there. I find it very interesting. By the way, I was told there that Iceland was the first country that allowed same-sex marriages. And one of my taxi drivers was from Afghanistan. Now, mind you, this is the end of September 21. And when was the pullout from Afghanistan? Was it August? I mean, the horrific American pullout from Afghanistan. So this guy, he didn't just come, he had been there, but he had said he had tried to get into other countries and couldn't. So he was a refugee from Afghanistan and Iceland. So it's a really interesting place, Iceland. And I plan to go back with more time, and I am going to go back in the summer when the days are long. A very common way to visit Iceland, and I bumped to people that did that, they rent an RV and then you do the whole island. So you have your own accommodation, you know, you can pull over anywhere and you can sleep. So this is an area where there was a glacier. And you know, we have climate warming, so it's pretty sad what we see that's happening with the climate. These two women, those are women, they were not modeling or posing for me. They were just tourists that were there. And I just turned around and went, oh, let me capture that, because I love seeing them up on the top there. And of course, the sun is beginning to set. Yeah. Okay. And that's it. Is it this one, Emma?
Finish, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's it. Where are we